to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something, completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
This is Joe Pugh for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Delighted to be joined by a smiling Mark Neilson after that show. Just talk us through it. It was very good, wasn't it, Mark?
Oh, I'm absolutely over the moon. Our best show yet. You know, we've not even been doing shows in London for a year. And from our first show, 1st of April last year, to that, I think they're just getting better and better. You know, we had everything. We had titles, eliminators, prospects, debuts, something for everyone. And we filled the place up. When this place is busy with a great card, it's nowhere better, I'm sure. I'm a fight fan, and I love just sitting there watching those fights. I'm on the edge of my seat. Loved it. The crowd loved it. You know, the boxers love fighting here. The managers love working with their guys here. So it's just, you know, ticks every box.
Look, I've been to many fight nights here, but I tell you what, the atmosphere tonight, I think, could top them all, because that was something special tonight, wasn't it, Mark?
Yeah, wasn't it? It wasn't it just. There's some guys there with some massive support. But what we found as well is that we're putting on these great shows. We're not cutting on production, so we're getting a lot of footfall through the door, not just to rely on the boxers for selling tickets. And it's been an industry problem for a while, just where they rely on the boxer to sell. We're getting a big lot of footfall, direct ticket sales and more, because they know if they see Neilson box and they see a fight town on top of the poster, they're going to get a cracking night of entertainment. And I can't, 50 quid for a standard, that's a great Friday night out, isn't it?
100%. Let's start at the top then. Jack Mcgann, he gets that IBO European. And you know what? I think a lot of people come into this fight. He was a tough opponent, and he really proved that was wrong and announced himself on the stage, certainly on a domestic level, maybe even European.
Well, no amateur experience, just an MMA background, and he had his doubters. He was at the rooftop in the Shankly Hotel in Liverpool, and I thought, he was a bit easy to hit. He's going to have to tighten up, but Martin Murray's been doing a great job with him. His defence was much better there. He was fighting very patiently. I could hear him listening to the instructions from Martin Murray when he was saying, just calm down, just fight, sensibly, just get on your jab. And he was listening, he was learning. I mean, it was a very mature, performance. Bear in mind, that's his ninth fight tonight. He can go all the way, can't he? He's an IBO European, an inaugural one, first time ever, so we've made some history tonight, but he looks strong. Laszlo Toth, he's had nearly 40 fights. He's won over 30 of them, 19 of which by knockout. He's done 10 rounds multiple times. Mcgann just dealt with him, didn't he, tonight? I think it's definitely the first couple of rounds to Mcgann. I think would have given the third to Toth, but then, Mcgann came up, stepped it up. Brilliant.
Right call from the corner to pull him out?
Absolutely. I think he was done. You could see his nose had gone, his eye was going, it was closing up really quick. Maybe that's an eye socket or something like that. But you could just tell it was a matter of time. It was just, there was the right thing, saved him. You could tell they weren't complaining. They were up for this fight, but, Jack was a better guy by far.
Were you shocked in the manner that Mcgann dealt with Toth tonight?
Well, we knew how tough Mcgann is. His team tell us how good he is. And we see him improving fight by fight, but he's improved and gone on another level again tonight. So I think all the domestic super welterweights should be on notice. This guy's going somewhere, and he's got his eye on anyone. We're looking at taking him back to Liverpool as a big main event at some stage later this year. So keep your eye out.
Could we see a big domestic fight for him, or are we going down that European route?
Well, I'll speak to his team. He's managed by Alfie Warren, the guys at Warren Boxing Management. They'll look after him. They've looked after him really well so far, haven't they? But working together, we've got the platform. They've got the connections and the contacts. So I think it's probably a matter of time before he's on a big Queensbury BT Sports show for sure, because he's turning heads. People are noticing who he is now.
Let's just go through the rest of the card then. Louis Horn, God, that was a statement, wasn't it? We had the debuts. Alfie Gaskin looked really well. Just what are some of the talking points from the fight night from your point of view, Mark?
Well, Josh Neilson, Louis Horn, both of them were scheduled to fight different opponents, but both sort of fell through. So they just said, let's fight each other. So we pitched it to both managers. They took it in a heartbeat. Rod Julian, Louis Horn's manager, said, we'll take that fight all day long, we'll knock him out. And they did exactly what they said they were going to do. I quite like Louis Horn. He's a real talent. He's obviously very strong. He comes from a great gym. They've got Sam Gilly over there. They've got Jordan Dujon. They've got some great talent in there. Josh Nelson's been out for a couple of years, but he's a strong guy. He's obviously gutted. I think he'll be back. But, certainly it's a good future for Louis Horn. Alfie Gaskin debut, cracking amateur star. He's cousins with John Hedges, who he's training over in the Mark Tibb gym over there. So he's got A great setup. We had Udin as well at the beginning of the show opener. He's a real talent. Lou Maldoni, who bought like half the city with him by the sounds of and he's like Louis Maldoni, 18 years old, very mature performance, 20 amateur fights, won 19 of them. So he's a real talent, I think. But we had some great fights on, didn't we? So it was a real great card, a bit of everything. Topped off by a massive title fight.
100%. I just want to touch on Louis Maldoni. I spoke to him after his fight. Very grounded young man, and he brought, I think he was like 350 fans with him. I was on the tube and they're all screaming his name throughout the thing. So with yourselves, him, you can really build a big fan base where you can go throughout the country with someone like that, can't you?
Yeah, he's good. And he's easy to work with. He's managed by Sam Kidder, who we work with very well. It ticks every box. He looks good, he sounds good, he can deliver, he can box, he sells loads of tickets, he's got a good management team who are a bit sensible about the decisions they're making for opponents. We'll have him out certainly a few more times this year. I think if word is he might be getting on a Scottish show next, and then we're back out in Lee Valley on the 22nd of April, back here in July, so he's going to be on one of them for sure. So, it's a great pleasure to work with, and we'll be working with him again.
Mark, you set the precedent with your schedule last year and you've maintained it for this year. If you just want to quickly go through your dates so far.
Well, we're back out, 2 shows in 2 weeks in Gloucester next week, so we've got some of Gloucester's finest. Our own Brad Ingram, top in the bill, welterweight, a cracking amateur star. He's stepping it up with the quality of the opponents now. We've got Luis El Gordito Roberts, who comes with the sombrero, Mariachi band, sells hundreds of tickets. We've got Shab Hajri from John Pittman's Fight Factory, the Afghan warrior. 2-0 now, but a cracking amateur. Comes out with a sort of Afghan tribal dress and just masses of crowd. We've got some brilliant guys on there. And then we've got a little bit of a break back at Lee Valley for the first time, 22nd of April. Then we're back in Swindon, 3rd of June, back in York Hall, 1st of July. We're building them cards already. You can tell by tonight it's a bit of a statement of how we're going to do this year. So that's what it's going to be like. You see Fight Town on a poster, that's what you're getting.
I couldn't agree more. And just looking forward to the back end of this year, just to finish off, could we see a big fight night in Liverpool for Jack Mcgann? You touched on it earlier on in the interview, but he brought fans tonight, and I think up there in Liverpool it could be something special for Fight Town, for Neilson Boxing and for Warren Boxing Management, couldn't it?
As a promoter, I'd love to do that. I've spoken to his team, Alfie Warren and the guys. They're absolutely up for it. Jack Mcgann would love to headline again in Liverpool, but for a really big title. So he's got a massive following. We've got it. We're hoping we did a dozen shows last year when we're going to do half a dozen. We've got, I think, 8 or 9 booked. We know we're going to fill in some other slots. Liverpool is definitely one of them.
Mark, thank you very much for speaking to IFL TV. Congratulations once again on a fantastic fight night, and hopefully speak to you again soon after another great one.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Always a pleasure.
Cheers, mate.
I'm going to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something, completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.